Hey guys, it's a minute after 2. I think that everybody's here. And of course, like I said, I told you guys this will be recorded and we'll actually post this one in the group for anybody that misses it. Everybody can hear me all right, correct? Okay, good deal. I just wanted to make sure because this is one of the first times that this new world EXP has that that is actually being used for a class. So it's really cool. We're the first people, and we're the people that are trying it all out. Lisa Lamborghini, she's the person assisting me with this. She's running a couple of minutes late this morning. She was going to say a couple of things about EXP Realty. As you guys probably already know, EXP Realty is the person that's sponsoring this and making it possible, and they're allowing us to use this really cool virtual world to do these in. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and get started. I really appreciate you all being here, being a part of this. This is the very first listing workshop that I've ever been on the teaching side of. So, not only do you get access to this, you should be in the secret group on Facebook as well. If for some reason you're not, contact me after it or contact me through Facebook, and I'll make sure that we add you. So, I think most everybody here at least knows a little bit about me, but to tell you some more about me, I grew up in a town called Alclou, South Carolina. It was tiny. All we had was a gas station. I'm from a really, really small town. My first trip to Starbucks, I was 20 years old, and I didn't even understand why you'd want to order a latte. I graduated from Winthrop University just south of Charlotte, North Carolina. I finished class on a Tuesday and was living in Myrtle Beach by Thursday. I didn't have any family here. I didn't know anybody. All I knew was I wanted to sell real estate and live at the beach. I got introduced to prospecting very early. I was at an office, and I just got really lucky to have a couple of guys that were just highly trained Mike Ferry agents there. They shared a lot of stuff with me, and I just embraced it. But I'll be honest with you guys. I struggled like a lot of agents I talked to. I struggled with my schedule. I struggled with everything. And to top it off, when I was a brand new agent, I looked like I was 12, and I had a lot thicker accent than I do right now. But over 12 years and thousands of calls, tons of listings, I learned and refined my systems to be able to just continuously take a predictable amount of listings and just be able to continuously list tremendous amounts of property. I tell you this because I want you to know that anybody can do this. I was looking around at the industry, and I just didn't really like the training and what I call non-productive fake training going on. So I started participating in Facebook groups and talking about systems that I use that were working, and that's what's led to us doing this first workshop here today at a partnership with eXp Realty. The way this workshop is going to work is probably different than anything most of you have ever done. What we're going to do is we're going to do this live call once a week for 4 weeks. Then it's going to be supported by the Facebook group. We're going to use the group to share information, scripts, recordings, and we're going to use it for accountability. And so on top of that, I think I've got everybody's phone number too, so you just cannot escape me. So that we can save time and not have 2 and 3 hour live calls, some of the stuff we're going to talk about, we basically reserved this room with EXP for an hour, and they've given us the bandwidth and stuff for an hour. So basically, the format of these is probably about 30 to 40 minutes of lecture type stuff, and then 20, 30 minutes of question and answer. So when I've created some additional audio stuff that we'll post in the group, it hasn't been posted yet, but there's a couple things I really want all of you to do. And number one thing is I just want you to commit to doing the best you can in here, and commit to having a positive attitude, and commit to a regular prospecting schedule. In return, I'm going to commit to just doing the best I can to give you guys the tools and skills to get more listings, build a better business, and a more profitable business for yourself. And the thing is, with the EXP sponsoring it, I'm not asking anybody for a dime of their money. I'm here. I believe in all of you. I believe that you guys can reach your goals and your dreams, and I believe that I can help you do it because I want to succeed. The things we're going to talk about, they're not God-given talents. They're learned skills. We're not competing at the Olympics. Everything that I do, you guys can learn. If a kid from Alclou, South Carolina that didn't know that Pizza Hut really delivered until they went to college can go out and list a lot of property, all of you guys can do the same thing too. So the tools that I'm going to teach you, they're going to help you build a better work schedule, a better business, a more profitable business, and help you guys reach your goals. I believe that we all have one of the greatest responsibilities you can have. We're helping people buy or sell a home. This is the biggest purchase or sale most people will do in their life, and they're trusting you and I to help them do it. So today is day one of this workshop. And what we're going to talk about today is what you need to do to get started. Today is going to help you lay the groundwork for your business. And what this whole workshop is going to do is going to help you get really good at the fundamentals of listing property. The basic systems you need to put together and go out and build a strong listing business. And one thing I've learned this about myself, and I've learned it from literally talking to hundreds of agents, is the more complicated the system is, the least likely we are to do it. So I'm going to try to make everything as simple as possible, because I do not want to set any of you up with a complicated system, because that raises the chance of you failing. So there's 3 things we're going to work on this week, and we're going to talk about this week. Number 1 is going to be where to find leads. Number 2 is getting your pre-listing package together and what to do with it. Number 3 is your schedule. So with leads, now when going after listings, it's a little different than buyers. And what you're going to need lead sources. So, and I don't want to talk about direct mail. Honestly, in most markets, direct mail is too expensive to do successfully, and it's too expensive for most agents' budgets. I'm going to post a recording called 28 Places to Find Seller Leads, and I'm going to post it in our secret group. And in some of the markets that you guys are in, like certain parts of California, certain parts of Florida, you're going to have to get a little bit creative. So these 28 ideas, there's some creative things in there. Personally, I like for sale by owners and older. I like older expireds, and I like for rent by owners too. I talk to a lot of agents around the country, and I've hired a lot of coaches myself, and it seems like a common ratio when you're making calls is that you're going to talk to about 20 to 25 people to get one appointment. And then most agents, it's pretty typical that you're going to get 1 out of 2 listings over time through follow-up and stuff, or 2 out of 3 appointments that you go on. That should be your goal, to get 2 out of 3. And as you get better, you can possibly get more than that. But what I'll tell you too that you need to do is you probably need to commit to a service that's going to provide you expired leads for sale by owners. I personally use RedX. RedX, if you're not subscribed to anything right now, RedX will let you subscribe for just 1 month. I'd subscribe to expireds and for sale by owners, and one of the reasons is with their for sale by owners with RedX, if you subscribe for 1 month, you get access to the whole for sale by owner database, and you can go back 12 or 24 months, and you can grab their whole database, and you have a lot of numbers to call from for day one. But you need a system to get numbers really easy. That way, when you get up in the morning, you don't have to think about what to do. You just show up, log into your computer, and everything's there. If you have to get up and think about it and think about everything for 2 hours, then go search for numbers, you just won't do it. I mean, believe me, I've tried doing that before, because sometimes I'm cheap. And if you don't believe me, my girlfriend, she's in the group, just ask her. Sometimes I can do some stupid stuff just being cheap. But typically you can get these services delivered to your email for like $60 to $100 a month. And that's cheaper than what you could do the research or pay for somebody to actually look them up for you. So if you guys don't mind, if you can mute yourself, just because we're getting a lot of feedback. But listen to the audio that I'm going to post in the group. If you've already subscribed to LandVoice or Vulcan 7, there's a lot of different services out there. Those are fine. As long as you have something that's going to deliver your numbers to you daily, or a couple of ways to get numbers and leads. The services I personally use, I use RedX, and I subscribe to RedX expireds, for sale by owners, and for rent by owners. I also use zbuyer.com, and if you're interested in zbuyer.com, our group gets a 33% discount. But get some source where they're going to deliver seller leads to you. I want you to post in the group too. I want you guys to listen to that audio, and I want you to post in the group in the next day or so. Figure out where you're going to get the expireds, for sale by owners, things like that. Where you're going to get your leads from. I'm going to make a post that's going to be called where your seller leads coming from. And I'd like for everybody to post what their lead source is. That way, we know that you guys are committing to one and committing to a way that you can get leads. And honestly, don't worry. This first group, nobody's in the same market. There's actually two. I take that back. There's two people that are in the same market that are going to be in this class, but they're husband and wife. So, and honestly, there's enough business out there for everybody. This is one of the most important steps to listing property, is to have a source where you're going to get leads from. Like I said a few minutes ago, the more complicated you make this step, the more likely it is that you're just not going to do it. So the number two thing we're going to talk about today is your pre-listing package. A lot of people are calling this pre-listing package, and I've been calling it that in a lot of my recordings, just because that's what we as agents seem to call it. But I'd actually prefer a pre-appointment package. This is one thing that's going to help you guys get more listings is just to eliminate the word listing from your vocabulary when you're talking to sellers. I don't know how this has happened, but somehow it's become a bad word, and really listing is just industry slang. I mean, think about it. When you're going to somebody's house and you say, "Oh, let me list your house," they immediately say no. When you're talking to a for sale by owner, they don't want to list their house because somebody they know has already done that and it didn't work. And if you're talking to an expired, they don't want to list their house because the last guy talked to them about listing their house, and they already know that didn't work. You want to talk about selling their house. I'm here because I can sell your home. Getting their home sold is what you're talking about. You're not talking about listing it. You're talking about selling it, and you want to talk about it confidently. Pre-appointment package, though, is the number one tool in my toolbox. If I had to pick just one thing that gets me more listings than any other agent, this is it. A lot of agents get it wrong, though. It's going to sound shocking to some people, but we don't actually sell houses. What we do is we sell a service that sells houses. It just so happens that we get paid for the performance of that service. This pre-listing package is going to give you the framework for the home selling service that you offer. Your goal in the business should be to set up your real estate practice to operate like a business. A lot of agents just run around constantly over-promising, under-delivering, and they do this over and over and over again. And this is one of the reasons why the public doesn't trust us sometimes. The truth is, most of these agents don't even know what services they're offering. But you guys are going to know exactly what you're offering because you're going to have this pre-listing package that says what you do. My favorite line to use when I'm meeting with sellers that are meeting with multiple agents are, "So, Mr. Seller, I know you're meeting with another agent. What I want to do is I want to send over to you my pre-appointment package. It tells about me and my team and what we do to sell homes. What I'd like for you to do is request the other agent's marketing plan also. That way you can put them side by side and compare the services we offer." Then I do this because I know most agents just don't have one and they don't have anything. So when or if the other agent tells them they don't have one, which happens a lot, my next line with the seller is, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Seller, I hope the agents aren't going to put a sign in your yard and pray something to happen." I find that most markets, even the best, biggest, most successful agents, they don't have a pre-listing package. So having this pre-listing package, what it's going to do, it's going to do 6 things for you. Number one, it's going to give you a lot of confidence. You'll have something in writing that's already pre-prepared that you can give potential sellers. You won't have to fumble around and worry about what products or services and all this stuff did you tell them or you didn't tell them. You get it all there in writing, and you've already sent it to them before you show up at their house. So they already know what you're going to do for them. Number 2, it's going to make you appear to be extremely professional. I mean, let's be honest. You look around your market, the bar is pretty low on looking extremely professional. Chances are if you're talking to a for sale owner or an expired listing, they've already talked to a lot of agents. 99% of the agents had nothing to send them and nothing to tell them about their services, and you're going to look like you really have things together. Number 3, it's going to establish expectations for your clients. If you don't want to do open houses, don't put it in the package. If you have a great open house system that you want to follow, you might want to include it. But only include things that you're willing to consistently do for every single listing that you have. I mean, I've heard agents say, "Well, I only do open houses if it's a $500,000 home." Well, if you're only going to do it for $500,000 homes, Don't put it in the listing package, because what happens if you list one for $300,000? They're going to expect the same service that's in the package you're sending. Now, number 4, this pre-listing package, this is where you get a chance to show off your whole team. Now, what I'm calling a team is not what we're commonly hearing today referred as a team. There's one particular franchise out there that has skewed the whole industry when it comes to teams. And what's happening is you have agents running around talking about their team, but they're really referring to a group of agents that maybe 15 or 20 agents doing 100 transactions a year. And when you break it down, honestly, nobody's making money. So the team that I'm going to be talking about in this workshop is you. It's your broker in charge, your office staff, the administration, the size of your office, the attorneys, the vendors you work with. It's basically the people that are helping you get from you signing the listing to closing. It's the people that you work with every day that help move the transactions along. Number 5, your pre-listing package is going to save you a lot of time. You send out your pre-listing package usually the day before the appointment. Preferably you do it by email. You ask them to look over it. You even remind them to look over it when you confirm their appointment. Then when you get to the house, one of the first things I tell people is, hey, did you look over the information that I sent you? Even if they didn't look over it, most people will just tell you they did. This will pretty much completely eliminate a lot of the need for a real formal presentation about the services you offer. A lot of the agents I'm talking to, they have these big listing presentations that are an hour and a half and 2 hours long, and they struggle through this with clients or potential clients. They struggle through it with potential clients. They get to it at the end, and the seller never won't sign the pre-listing package or won't sign the listing paperwork. And the reason they won't is because they just sat through a painful 2-hour presentation with you, and they're just going to assume that everything you do is going to be long, drawn out, and just painful. How many times do you want to go back and sit through the same 2-hour thing again? That's why they're not listing with you, which we'll talk about this. Actually, on week 3, we're going to talk about the listing presentation. But one phrase I usually say when I'm sitting down in front of clients is, looking at the pre-listing package and information I sent you, you know that we market 2 ways. We market to the general public looking for our own buyers, and then we market to other agents looking for agents with qualified buyers. Our goal is to get you as many qualified buyers as possible to come look at your home. And so they've already seen this stuff by the time you get there. So it's going to save you a ton of time. You'll be able to cut your listing presentation down from an hour and a half, 2 hours to most of mine last 30 to 40 minutes, just depending on how big the house is and if we have some issues to discuss. Number 6, the 6th thing that it's going to do for you, it's going to help you establish value. When potential clients look at this package that you're going to send them, it looks like a lot of stuff. Most people don't understand the basic list of services we offer as an agent. It looks extensive. And this is what this is. Everything from taking pictures. You're going to have a list. Everything from taking pictures, putting a sign out, putting a lockbox on, notifying agents in your market, the syndication your franchise or local board does. This stuff gets extensive. The basic list of services we all provide is actually mind-blowing. But a lot of it is done automatically, or it's just different steps taken through the whole process of the listing time frame. But sometimes when I even look at mine, I go, man, I do a lot of stuff. I don't make enough money. But I don't just use this tool for people I've set appointments with. This pre-listing package, I use this and I send it to everybody. This is my personal brochure that tells about me, my company, and what we do to sell houses. They get great pre-listing package that just sits on your computer, doesn't really do you any good at all. If you tell it before sale by owners expires, anybody looking to sell their house, you ask them for their email address and you send them your pre-listing package. If they don't have an email address, it's easy to print out this thing, use my pre-listing package and fill it all in. It's only 10 or 11 pages. It's easy to print it out, stick it in an envelope, and throw it in the mail. The line that works best for me over and over when I'm asking for emails, when I'm talking to potential sellers is, hey, I want to send you some information about me and my team. That way you know who you're talking to. What's your email? 9 out of 10 sellers, they just give it to me. My next question usually is when I'm talking to somebody that I've got from one of these services or even a Craigslist ad or off a sign is this your cell phone number I'm calling you on? And the reason we ask that is really for follow-up purposes, but we'll talk more about that next week. In the group, I'm going to post, for those of you that don't have my pre-listing package, I'm going to post an editable version of my pre-listing package. I'm going to post an Excel version of my net sheet, and I'm going to post an audio tutorial on how to put your pre-listing package together and what all it needs to include. So if you already have one that you're using, compare it to mine and make some changes. I see a lot of agents with packages that are 20 or 30 pages, and they're nothing but text. And honestly, if somebody sends me a 30-page PDF that's nothing but text to look at on my computer, I am probably not going to read it. And most of these sellers are like that too. I mean, all of us are like that. If I send you a 30-page PDF, you're just not going to look at it. So I'm going to send this to you. You're going to get it in the group, and you're going to get the audio thing that's going to walk you through actually putting it together. And what you can do is if you have one that you already have, post it in the group. Let's get some honest feedback on it from people. And that way, once everybody's is completed, I'd like for them to post it in the group. That way you can share ideas, critique each other's. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is your schedule. Believe it or not, everybody has a schedule. It's just that not everybody's schedule is a profitable or productive schedule. You need to actually think about what your schedule is going to be, and don't set yourself up for failure. Set yourself up for success. A lot of agents I talk to, they work another job. You need to set up your schedule so you're planning around it. If you have to take your kids to school, plan around that. We've all got in the business for one of two things, either to make more money or have more freedom. And the problem is, if you don't make some money soon, you're not going to have much freedom for very long. But this schedule is what's going to actually give you freedom and help you plan. This is your business. You make the schedule you want to make, as long as it's a productive one and one that's going to help you reach your goals. Now, the schedule, I want everybody to make a schedule in here, and I want you to be held accountable to it. So what I want to do, I'm going to make a post in the group this afternoon that asking you what your schedule is, and I'd like for you to make it, and I'd like for you to respond to that post with your schedule. And once you make it there, I want you to understand that you guys are committing to that schedule. There's actually 33 people in the group that you're committing to, that this is when I'm going to work this week. So you're going to be committed to the schedule. So I want to give you guys an example of what my typical day looks like. I get up about 6:30 in the morning typically. I feed my dog. I usually listen to something that's motivational for 20 or 30 minutes while I'm drinking coffee or eating breakfast. Then I go walk my dog or do whatever I need to do real quick. And I make sure that I'm at the office by 8 a.m. to get on the phones. Typically, I prospect until 11 a.m. Usually that 3-hour time period is split up into 2 hours of new calls and 1 hour of follow-up. What you need to do is you need to use your voicemail to protect your prospecting time. I'm going to post a recording of my voicemail so that you get an idea of how to use your voicemail to protect your time. You want it to say, I'll be unavailable. I will be in appointments till 11 a.m. or I'll be in appointments during these times. If you need me or it's an emergency, here's my email address or here's my office number you can call. But give them an alternative to calling you, either text or email seems to be work best for me. From 11 to 12, I do paperwork and I do some callbacks. I go to lunch every day about 12 noon. Usually I just get something quick. My office is only like 3 miles from my house, so I can just run home, or either I bring something to the office. What I want to do is I typically go on appointments after 1 p.m. If I don't have any appointments, my job is to come back and look for appointments. I also use the afternoon when I don't have appointments. I try to catch up on, busy work, but everything goes into my schedule. I use Google Calendar, and if it doesn't go into my schedule, it is not going to get done. So when you lay out your schedule, the most important thing you need to do is your prospecting time, and do it as early as you can. I'd prefer, or at least me when I'm making my schedule, I prefer to prospect early in the morning. That way I'm getting it out of the way before things in the world start happening, before, the crazy closing starts going on or whatever it is. I find that there's just less distractions going on in the morning. And let's face it, Most of the difficult, non-productive agents that you got to deal with during your day, they're not out of bed at 8 o'clock in the morning. But you need to plan at least an hour of uninterrupted new business calls a day. And really, if you're already doing business and you have appointments, you probably should be doing about 2 hours of prospecting a day at a minimum. If you don't have any business or appointments, your job is really to go look for business and appointments. So you should be doing 3 hours or more a day some days. But you guys that have difficult schedules, job stuff, plan this, time block it. I'd like to see what your schedules are and what you come up with for this. So, so that was what I have to talk about with schedules. With prospecting, I know today we didn't really get to much about prospecting, and I don't want to take more than an hour, and I'll give you plenty of time for questions. But I want to lay some basic groundwork for you with prospecting. I'm going to post my basic script that I use and that I follow, and then I'm going to post my follow-up scripts for you guys in the group. I'd recommend you figuring out your lead sources as soon as possible. Figure out your schedule and start your schedule tomorrow and start prospecting, as soon as you can if you're not already doing it. Get to the office, put some music on while you're getting set up, and then just start making calls. Guys, find somewhere that you can do it uninterrupted. If you don't have a private office and you don't have anywhere you can do it at home, a desk in the corner of the extra bedroom or whatever it is, book your real estate office's conference room for an hour. Just tell your broker in charge what you're doing. Say, hey, I want to prospect for more listings. I'd like to book the conference room for an hour. Quite honestly, most of the big offices, there's probably less than 5% of agents are in the office in the mornings anyway. So if you got 100 agents in your office, probably less than 5 agents, minus the staff, came into the office this morning before lunch. So I'm sure there's probably a lot of less productive things going on in the office conference room than you guys prospecting. But whatever you need to do to get that prospecting in and find you a quiet, uninterrupted place to do it in. Take the mindset with your prospecting time is you need to do whatever it takes to get that time in there. So don't worry about being scared. The person on the phone, they can't eat you. The absolute worst thing that can happen is they just hang up on you or you hang up on them. Either way, it doesn't really matter because there's plenty of other people out there to make calls with. So I'd like for you to tell us how your calls are going, make some posts in the group. So just to recap the whole day. So this week we have a little bit of homework before next Thursday. And if you can get it done before next Thursday, it's really going to help you because each one of these days we're doing the workshop is going to build on each other. So number one, you need to figure out what your lead sources are. Figure out where you're going to get leads and where you're going to get consistent leads delivered to you every day, whether it's RedX, LandVoice, Vulcan 7, it doesn't matter as long as you have something. Number two, if you don't have a pre-listing package, you need to get it done as quickly as possible. I'm giving you the template. You just have to go in, edit the template, and if you do it in Google Docs, if you upload my template into Google Docs, it's going to make it so easy for you, and then you can just export it out as a PDF. And number three, the most exciting thing is you're starting your brand new schedule. So you're starting your schedule, the schedule that you make. And remember, if you had a regular job, you'd have a schedule. And if you didn't show up for your schedule, you'd get fired. So remember that. You want to work the schedule that you would expect an employee making the same amount of money you want to make would work, whatever that is. So you're starting your brand new schedule. If you're not starting tomorrow, you need to start it Monday. Next week, what we're going to talk about is mindset, goals, and we're actually talk about making calls. So man, I looked at my notes and I kept this all to 30 minutes. So we got time for questions and answers. Does anybody have any questions? Hey, how are you? Okay. Okay, how about that? Oh yeah, you want to upload it in the group. Yeah, you can actually do you can just go in the file section and you can upload it. It should be pretty easy. If you have any problems, you can email it, email it to me at jasonmorrismyrtlebeach at gmail.com and I'll upload it for you. Sure, go ahead. Okay, so you're breaking up a little bit, but my understanding is lead source pre-listing package. And I'm sorry, I was reading a comment, but you're wondering how to keep yourself organized with making calls and follow up. I am actually really simple. I've used a lot of different CRMs. The easiest thing for me and the easiest way for me to keep myself organized and keep my hot leads together is I keep my hot leads in a spiral notebook because quite honestly, you're only going to have you might have 20 or 30 or 40 people that you're following up with consistently every week. I mean, if you have a lot more than that, sometimes some people need to drop off of your weekly follow up. But a spiral notebook is the most amazing tool I've ever had. What I do with my leads too is I know a lot of agents use Mojo Dialer and a lot of different dialers. The people the expireds, I don't call all the expireds. I have certain areas and certain price ranges and properties and stuff that I have picked out that what I take and I do is I print out the ones that I really want to call and follow up. I call them all, but the ones I'm really targeting, I print them out. I have a stack. I print out one lead per page and I flip and call. And the ones that are really good leads, I put them in a separate stack to follow up with. So, sometimes, yes, Samantha just hit the nail on the head. I noticed in the past when I would try to use a lot of technology, man, I was getting bogged down in it, and it would take me longer to update the technology and update the CRM than it did to actually make the calls and do all the work. So I'm a big believer in making things as simple as possible because if there's any level of difficulty or stress or aggravation, you're just not going to do it. It's going to affect your performance. So did that answer your question? Yeah, a lot of this stuff is in real estate. I've done that myself before, feeling like I had to do all this stuff, and you really don't. A lot of the work that we see a lot of agents doing, honestly, is just busy work. Gary just said it, analysis paralysis. I mean, you sit there trying to figure out realty juggler, and it's horrible. Don't overcomplicate things. Man, just print out all of your leads and just one lead per page. You got plenty of room to make notes there. When that person sells their house, they list with somebody else, crumple the paper up, throw it in the trash, and you're done with that person. There's going to be a ton of leads in your inbox tomorrow, So I wouldn't get real bogged down in that sort of stuff. And I wouldn't get real bogged down in technology because with the listing processes that we're using, you really don't need a whole lot of technology. A lot of it's basic sales skills. So LaRonda Thomas, she asked, how did I integrate my assistant into helping with prospecting? My assistant, her biggest job for me, and if you guys have never taken a DISC test, I encourage you to. Tony Robbins has one for free. And And I am like a medium to three-quarter D, and I'm an extremely high I. When it comes to S and C, I'm horrible, which a lot of agents that are really high producers make up that same category. And basically, what that means is I'm really good at talking with people and I'm really good at listing property, but I'm absolutely horrible at paperwork. And so I am horrible when it comes to organization. I have a little pile sitting around. So my assistant, her main job is to help keep me organized. So if you are going to use a system, I'd use something really basic and really simple. I mean, I really like Realty Juggler. It was easy to show her how to use it. There's a lot of little quick 2 and 3 minute videos, and it only costs like $100 a year. And instead of you sitting there putting all of your notes in, have your assistant put them in. I mean, that's really what I have her for. Printing out leads, she knows the criteria of what I'm looking for in RedX. So she actually logs into RedX for me and prints all that stuff in and prints all that stuff out. So when I show up to the office, I have a stack of leads ready to go. I mean, like ZBuyer, if you subscribe to ZBuyer for 1 month, you get their whole backlog of leads too. I had somebody to ask about a discount code. If you just call them, talk to Eva, she's the account rep, and then tell her that I sent you, they'll give you the discount. But there was 600 something back leads in my ZBuyer account. And ZBuyer makes it a little bit difficult to go through and print out the whole database. So for like 3 days, she was printing one lead at a time. And I use her for things like that, like getting my paperwork turned in my office, getting, really the busy work that I don't have to do. I mean, so that's how she comes into play. She's not actually making calls for me. Sometimes if I have to drop things off by seller or buyer stuff, run errands, that's kind of what her big job is, but she actually she's not physically involved in the prospecting. So what's the next question? Oh, Peter, you're not scared of calling. You're just not confident. Um, Peter, as we go through this, man, a lot of the confidence that you're going to get is you just need to do it. I mean, honestly, I wasn't very confident when I started either. I mean, you need to listen to music. You need to listen to. I've got a video, and I could repost it in our secret group too. Um, and and I talk about how I build confidence, how I put myself in state. I mean, what I do before I on the way to a listing appointment. Um, you need to look for little things like that that are going to build your confidence. I'm going to post my scripts in the group too. Use the script. Use the pre-listing appointment. Put things in place where you don't have to think. You just go and you just do. So that way, you don't really have to think about things. And as you set appointments and as you go on listings, you're going to build your confidence. But just having all the tools there, having that pre-listing appointment package, having all this stuff, you're going to be a little bit more confident than you were yesterday. And that's what a lot of this is. You're not going to be, I've been doing this for 13 years. So I know when I talk to some agents and I talk about my numbers, it can be kind of discouraging. But the thing is, I've worked on just getting a little bit better every day until I've gotten to where I am today. We just need to focus on getting that 1% better a day. So the next question, Bobby, with email prospecting, if it's somebody that you already have an established relationship with, sending them an email is one thing, but sending really unsolicited emails to people you don't know, basically spamming people, trying to look for listings. Number one is, in a lot of cases, it's hard to get the email addresses. So that makes it a little bit more difficult. If it's somebody you've already talked to, email prospecting, is great sometimes. Say if you've already made, a lot of follow-up calls from them, you hadn't been able to get them on the phone. I like to call, I like to email, I like to text. Sometimes I'll send a letter. I mean, sending an email is better than doing nothing, but at some point you do have to call. I know a lot of people try to prospect their buyer leads only through email or only through a CRM. the best thing to do is to actually just, are you talking about leads from a service like Zerple? Um, that may be a little bit different. I would call first, man. Before I send an email, I would make a call, leave a voicemail, send an email to follow up, send a text. Probably do all three of those things. As far as door knocking and farming, um, Lance, I don't think I actually farm in the sense of what most people talk about farming. I don't like to send letters to a big geographical area, and I don't like to knock on doors or call just a neighborhood just to call. I like to do everything I do. I like to do it with a purpose. And a lot of this is going to be about this, about doing it with a purpose. All the people that I'm calling or all the people that I'm contacting, something has led me to believe that they want to sell their house. Either their house just expired off MLS, they've got a for sale by owner sign in front of it, or maybe it expired or was for sale by owner 6 months or a year ago. But I like to call with a purpose. I don't personally like the idea of I hear some coaches call it people farming. I hear people talk about phone farming, but it's I don't really like to essentially open up the phone book and call random people in it. I don't think that's a good use of time. I call leads that I think that want to sell. But Samantha, to answer your question, I'm in the Myrtle Beach market. There's probably about 12 to 14,000 sales going on a year. We probably have about 4,000 agents. I don't really, to be honest with you, this kind of sounds funny. I live in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, but I don't actually do business in Pawleys Island. A lot of the business I do, I've done a whole market analysis, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about later on in the week, how to figure out who you should be calling, because when you really break down your market, and I'll show you guys how to break it down, and then you just have to go do the work. It took me about 3 or 4 hours to do it in my market of really working on it. But when you really look at your market and figure out what is actually selling and what's not, like my market, I was a little bit surprised to see that this was like a year ago, like 78% of my market was under 175,000. So, and then there were little pockets in my market, like these little outlying towns that were outside of Myrtle Beach, like 15, 20 minutes, where there was actually a lot of business going on, or there was a lot of business going on in a certain price range. And that's really what I focus on. I mean, I'd recommend you focus on an area of your market, whether it's, I do some new construction. I don't really do any luxury stuff. Once you get over 250, 300,000 in our market, there's not a whole lot going on, so I'd recommend you picking an area and looking at what's actually selling. I mean, a high percentage of my listings sell because I'm focusing on the areas that are actually selling, but I figured that out from doing the market analysis. But John, I've actually got a video I'll share, man, where I talk about my ZBuyer script and how I use it. I'll tell you guys, ZBuyer is a little bit different than expireds or for sale by owners. And the reason being is because the ZBuyer leads are coming through a website that's like a We Buy Houses website. So you want to be able to, basically, it's a little bit different call, but I'll share the script in the video and it'll explain it just a little bit better than what I can explain it right now in the time frame that we kind of have left. So, Samantha, my market, Miles, it's really Horry and Georgetown County. Which Horry County is one of the biggest counties in our market. But so it's 60 miles of coastline. So it's probably not as big as some areas, but it's a fairly big area. But my buyers, what do I do with them? I do have a buyer's agent that I use. I refer buyer leads out. The only buyers that I personally work with are friends and family or referrals from friends and family. It's people that I feel like, hey, I've got to work with these people because I feel like I have a responsibility because whoever referred them to me, So those are the buyers that I actually work with. Other than that, I work with no buyers. I try to limit the buyer interaction I have to that. You have to set up rules for yourself. If it doesn't fit within those rules or that criteria, refer it to another agent. I'd recommend that with listings, listing more properties, how you're going to control your time is how you're going to control your life and your business. I would look for an agent that you can send these buyers to, and I'd start looking for one right now. I would prefer, if it's me personally, I prefer a newer agent because and the reason being is because they don't have a lot of bad habits, and you can teach them to work with buyers the way that you want them worked with. Because those buyers, that's your money and that's your marketing money that's being spent. Even if they're calls off the sides, that's your money that's being spent to generate those. So I would find a strong person that you think would be a good buyer's agent. Have them do a disc test. I'm a big believer in doing a disc test yourself and doing it with any person you hire. And the reason is that way you can figure out what their strengths and weaknesses are, and that way you can figure out how to manage that person, manage their time, and manage the process that you want to do. Lawrence with Realty Juggler, man, I don't like to use any of the canned drip campaigns anybody has. I prefer to do my own, and I prefer to try to provide something of value. I feel like a lot of the canned services, and depending on how many people that person's how many websites they've registered on, how many people they've followed up with, honestly, the canned stuff, they may be getting that from 10 other agents. But at least you got a good point. You know what? I see a lot of people paying for actual buyer lead services. The best buyer leads are the people that are calling from signs. If you go out here and you get enough listings, you get more buyers than what you can ever work with. I mean, the best buyer system and the best buyer lead system is to have as many signs as you can get out on as many houses as you can get out. That's the best, most cost-effective marketing you can possibly have. As far as compensating buyers agents, it depends on the situation you have. I feel like you have to do at least a 50-50 split with buyers agents. I've seen some offices and agents that if they're going to be somebody on your team and you're generating enough business that you can be their entire source of business and buyer leads, that's fantastic. Put them on your team, control the way they're following up, try to perfect it, and try to coach them and get them to do better. If you're only producing a buyer lead here and there, we're talking about 1 or 2 buyers leads a week. Honestly, find a buyer's agent that can that's a strong buyer's agent or a strong agent in your office, just to send those people to. If you've got 1 a week that you're doing, it's just not enough to basically tie an agent down to your team, or at least that's the way I feel. They're going to get tired or bored, and they're going to quit the business, or they're going to leave your team. Let's see, how do I? If it is, if they're not on a team with you and you're not providing the volume, I would do like a 25% referral out. A 20 to 30% referral, I think, is pretty common. I was referring buyer leads to this agent one time, and we had a sliding scale. If it was under a certain amount or under a certain commission amount, the referral was a little bit less. If it was over, it was a little bit more. And it went from actually like 17% to 30%. But he was an extremely, extremely strong buyer's agent. This guy was closing like 3 to 4 deals a month for me that I was getting paid on. So, I was willing to give up more so that he just continued to work leads for my websites. The contract to close process for my referrals, I prefer that they would give me a copy of the contract as soon as it's signed, give me a copy of the closing sheet saying who the attorney is and all that stuff, just so I can have it for my records and kind of be able to track what's going on, because if you're generating a lot of buyer leads and you don't have somebody performing, you want to figure out what the problem is. My assistant is available to help them with those transactions. But with contract to close, I do not provide that service for them. But I do provide the contract to close service that or system that I would prefer them to use. You know, let's see. What is the next question? I was looking here. See a lot of text. So let's see. Who has another question, or is there one maybe I've missed in the text box? How many times do I call? So if you're talking about follow up, I will follow up forever. There's a great book out there called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, and he talks about the follow up system he had with Fortune 500 companies. And he talks about it taking 6 to 8 times. It takes 6 to 8 times for a person to actually do business with a high end buyer, or buyer or seller. So what I do with typically a typical expired that's kind of in my area or fits the niche that I'm really going after, I try to follow up like 10 to 12 times, like regularly, but a lot of it depends on their motivation. For Z Buyer, I follow up as much as it takes with some of those. The new ones that I've been getting, I've been getting about 4 or 5 a week, and I've just been following up relentlessly with those. Some of them that are kind of in my area, or they put on there a price that's like, oh my God, that's a fantastic price. I can sell that today. I have been following up with them just about every day, either through call or text or email. So I've been just very aggressive with those Z Buyer people. And a lot of my calls are, they're looking for a cash offer. So I'm leaving them a message saying, hey, this is Jason Morris with Realty Company, and I'm calling you because you wanted a cash offer on your home. Please call me back as soon as possible. And then I'm texting basically the same thing to them. And I'll share those scripts with you guys too. Cool. Hey, well, yeah, no problem at all. Well, I tell you, Lisa, I know we're getting here close to the end of our hour. I know you're a couple minutes late. Is there anything you want to say before we finish up today? And I really appreciate all of you guys being here today. I think this is fun, exciting. It really keeps me accountable too. I tell you, Denise, I'll answer that real quick. The accountability, we're actually going to do the accountability in the group. So I'm going to make some posts here later this afternoon and tonight. And I want everybody to post their schedule. That you're going to come up with your schedule. I want you to post it in there. I want you to post where your lead sources are, or at least confirm that you've decided on what lead sources you're going to use. And two, when you finish your pre-listing package, I know it'd take probably some of you guys a few days to do it, but we've got the weekend, so it's a great time to do it during the weekend. Post it in the group and let us look at it. I'll be more than happy to critique it and help you any way I can. But I really appreciate you guys being here, and so I will talk to you guys in the group. I really appreciate you, Lisa, for setting this first one up. Thank you guys so much.